Hey guys, welcome back. Better Than Let's Play episode 15, MoonQuest edition. I'm Enigmius and today we're floating amongst the clouds. I love that. I hate it. I hate the clouds in the base, but I love the scenic view of them floating by when we're standing here idling, doing nothing. The last episode, we built an airship that allows us to fly around and land over oil spouts and extract the oil. And then we could take the tanks of filled oil to some theoretical refinery, and that would make fuel for our rocket to the moon and beyond. All well and good until I realized after the fact that the system that I had designed was using thermal expansion tanks and pipes. Now the problem with that is that MoonQuest doesn't come with the mod thermal expansion, and the thermal expansion tanks have this fantastic property where you can use the wrench to right-click on the tank and take the tank with you, and then you set it down, and whatever was in it when you picked it up is in it when you set it down again. If you don't have thermal expansion, you don't have that kind of tank, which would kind of make it difficult to come up with a working solution for an airship unless we took a look at what we did have, which is actually kind of interesting, the way that we can set it up. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at a modification to the airship design so that we can unload our supply of oil without having to pick up the tanks, without having to break the tanks and put them in our inventory and set them down somewhere else. And then we're going to look at the refinery, because I built a refinery and I quite like it. So it's working. Actually, no, I've turned it off, but it's got plenty of oil to begin refining, and I'm just going to let it run in the background. I just wanted to point out, this is the airship that I built after our first airship. We built the big one, and it broke, so I tore it down, and I built this one, just so if I need to go fly around looking for something, I can do that. And after I built it down there, I brought it up here, and I parked it along these shore buffers, so that it wouldn't stick to the platform, and I left it there. And I was here the other day, and I noticed that the airship had actually moved somehow, and those wooden steps there were embedded in the platform right here. They were kind of flickering through the platform blocks. And I didn't have time to deal with it then, so I just left it, and now all on its own it's moved out there. So I don't know. But we've got our modified airship down there, and we're going to jump on down and take a look. This is a glider thing from Modular Power Suits, which is not included with MoonQuest, but that's okay. I just have this thing about building vertically, so being able to survive falls and glide, at least, is pretty handy. Now we're going to get into our airship and just back it up a little bit so you can see what's airship and what's not. So we're flying the airship. We're backing it up, and then one of the viewers was kind enough to remind me that you can, there's a key that you can press, in our case it's set to equals, that will align the airship to the environment, so less likelihood of things getting skewed and broken. So that's what I've done. We can still fly it, I don't have to push any other buttons to fly it, and then we get out of it, and theoretically it will have survived. So that's what it did. So this is the modified airship. It's a glass floor with our helm block. We've got our electric pump that we had in the last airship, and we've got a Buildcraft tank. These are, where is it? Tank. Easy to make. It's 8 glass blocks, makes a tank. It holds 16 buckets worth of fluid. It kind of serves that purpose of a mobile storage solution for liquids, which is necessary on an airship like this. And the reason why there's water in it is because I had to test it and make sure that it would survive properly moving around on the airship. Just like the pipes, when you put the pipes on an airship and then fly, the pipes disappear, they're destroyed, they're gone. I wanted to make sure we didn't have a similar problem with these guys. Now, the one drawback that these tanks have is if you've got a liquid in it like this, and you break the tank and put it in your inventory and set it down somewhere else, the liquid will be gone. So that creates kind of the challenge that we had to overcome. Is it doesn't really mean a whole lot if we can fill up our airship with all of this oil, courtesy of our electric pump, if we can't use it, if it's all stuck on the airship. So what I've done is I've set up, just as an example, a very simple system that would allow you to dock your airship somewhere to unload whatever was in the tanks. kind of neat. Now, keep in mind with these Buildcraft tanks that they're just like the thermal expansion ones. You can stack them one on top of the other, and they function as a single tank. How you orient them on your own particular airship so that they can all feed into one another or drain at the same time, whatever, that's your design challenge. I'm not getting into that. I just want to illustrate how you can get the fluid out of the tanks without having to break them. And what we've got here is an example setup. Now, this is another thermal expansion tank, and it's just there symbolically to represent whatever storage solution you happen to be using to store your oil. You'll see a much better solution when we get to the refinery. So for now, don't worry about the fact that we've got another thermal expansion tank here. These are stone fluid pipes. These are Buildcraft waterproof pipes. I tried doing this with the mechanism fluid pipes, and I couldn't get them to draw out of the tank. So maybe I tried shift right clicking with the not the screwdriver, the configurator. I tried the wiki. I tried 2 wikis. The wikis don't even know that these things exist in some cases. And I just said, I know I can do it with the Buildcraft stuff, so that's what we're going to do. The process is pretty similar. Now you'll notice we've got some shore buffers. Again, these are so you can dock directly adjacent to these and they won't stick to the airship. And then we've got an empty block here. And then we've got a block here, and we've got a lever in place. Very simple, straightforward, right? So we can take our airship, and we're going to do a little jumpy and a little thing like that, and we're going to try, in the fewest possible attempts, to dock our airship with the... oh, we overshot, I think. And then hit the align button. And hit the... Did we miss? Somehow we missed. I just... You gotta hang tough with me for a second here. And turn. And forward. And... align. Did we... It doesn't want to go over there. You saw it. See, we moved over, then we go like this, and then we go forward, and then we stop, kind of over it, and hopefully that's far enough, and there we go. See, now the tank is directly over that block, directly over this, ready to go. Now, you have a chest set up, and in that chest you have a wooden fluid pipe and a redstone engine. If you want to set this up with gates, Buildcraft gates, I'm not going to mock you for it because that's your thing, but that seems like a lot of cost and effort for something like this. So we set up our fluid pipe, right? We put that in there, and then we have our redstone engine that we put there, and that's why this lever is here. Provides a signal to the engine. The engine, as you'll see momentarily, starts pumping the fluid from the tank and depositing it in our storage solution. So that's the best I was able to come up with using what's included with the mod. And now the reason for this design, and the reason why I made such a big deal out of showing it to you, stupid spider, is because when you're... straw hat, because that's what I needed right now. When you're done extracting the fluid, which, you know what, park it, set it up, run, go have a coffee, build a house, whatever you need to do, because it's going to take a while with the redstone engine to drain your tanks, and that's fine. It's just going to go on its own because these don't need fuel. That's the one good thing they have going for themselves. But when you're done and you want to move your airship again, you come here, you break the engine, you break the pipe, and you put these back in the chest so they're there for next time, and then you don't have to worry about your airship sticking to the pipe, thinking the pipe is part of the airship, which then means it's going to think this pipe is part of it, and then all of a sudden the cobblestone, and then our whole shipyard is part of the airship. You know what I mean? We don't want to let the airship get stuck to things. So we break anything that might be connecting to it, stow it away conveniently for next time. There's your airship, ready to go. So after all that, with the fiddling and the faddling, we've come up with a system to transmit oil from our airship to a storage container. Now we need to do something with that oil so that we can refine it into fuel. That's the whole reason we're getting the oil in the first place. So this is kind of familiar territory down here. We've been down here before. And then we come down here, and you can see the clouds are moving through the room. This is why I start to dislike them, is because sometimes they get a little bit rude. And you can see I've got a wire going down into a thing down there, powering that thing, which is a refinery. Very exciting with the refinery. It got ugly here because of some design shortcomings. I thought I turned this guy off. Clearly, I was mistaken, as you can see. Except there's some fuel in these pipes, but it's not pumping any more fuel into the pipes, so that's good. This is where you would, if you had tanks or anything that you wanted to fill, you could put them here, and it would drain from these guys down into the tanks. Anyways, this is the block, the machine. It's a Galacticraft machine that converts oil into fuel. And you can see here it's got 24 buckets of oil in this side. We've got it, it's got a little button. You can say, okay, now start refining, and it'll say ready, refining. It's receiving power. And if it was storing fuel instead of having it pumped out, it would put fuel into here. You could put a bucket into here and receive the fuel. So it's actually not a particularly expensive machine to make. I was surprised, given the alternatives. We've got stone and a furnace, right? Really, really straightforward. Copper canister, which is 7 copper ingots, like this, makes 2. And you need 2 for the recipe, so it's 7 copper ingots, and then 2 compressed steel plates. And the UI here is messed up. This isn't, you don't need wood in the recipe. It's just 2 steel ingots per plate, so 4 steel ingots. Not bad. We already had the infrastructure in place to make the compressed steel plates, so we were good to go. And that's our refinery that we put into place right here. Now, these are dynamic tanks from mechanisms. So this is definitely something that you can build with the pack as it exists. You don't have to add any extra mods or anything like that. For whatever reason, it doesn't render properly for me to show the fluid in the tank, but if you go in here, you can see 281 buckets of oil. That was dumping the tanks of oil that we had in the episode where I showed you how the airship worked. And then I brought the tanks back and filled them up again until it started sucking more water than oil, and I shut it down and broke it. But we've got 281 buckets of oil that are being converted into fuel right now, which is kind of neat. Very easy to store, right, in these guys. And then I've got this system set up here where I can put, I don't have any oil tanks, but you can see here, for example, I can put a thermal expansion tank or a Buildcraft, actually no, not a Buildcraft tank. I'm confusing myself. I can put a thermal expansion tank because that's what I'm using on either side of this, and I can stack them up, and I can drain 6 tanks at once into this tank. In your case, you could have your Buildcraft pipes. Instead of connecting to that thermal expansion tank like we showed in the demonstration down below, you can have it connecting into one of these big tanks, and you're good to go. You can store plenty of oil for all of your space exploration needs. Now, these are really simple to build. It's just go into NEI and type dynamic, and it's going to show you all the blocks you need. These are the main ones. These are the dynamic tanks, which is cobblestone and steel. Makes 8 of these solid tank blocks, and these have to be on the floor and the corners. So you put those into place, you build those in, and then you need valves, which are control circuits, which are made with the enriched alloy that we make with the infuser, or the enricher, whatever the hell that stupid machine is upstairs. You've seen it before. You need 2 of these, 4 steel ingots per, makes 2 tank valves. You need 4 tank valves if you're going to have a tank for oil and a tank for fuel. So again, not confusing at all. And you can see there's a valve here, and we'll look through this side. You can see there's a valve block there. On that side, you can't really see it because I've got the covers on the pipes. And then This is where it kind of got wonky for me, because I kind of misread what the machine wanted. And it takes, we'll go around to the front. This is the front of the machine. It takes the oil in on this side and puts the fuel out on that side, and you can't change it, which is fine, but I thought in my mind that you start from the left and work to the right, and then I realized I was wrong, and that's why we've got all these wonky pipes coming up here, so that it's pulling the fuel out here, going in there, and then around the backside, using the covers to keep them from connecting badly. We have pulling oil out of this tank here, up through there. You can see the black liquid in the pipe into the refinery there. God. Now in this case, with the thermal expansion pipes, they like to have a redstone signal when they're extracting. That's why I've got these levers all over the place. And just letting it run, doing other things, we're up to 38 buckets of fuel, which I don't even know how many buckets of fuel you actually need to fuel a single trip to the moon and back. I don't expect that we're actually going to be flying back. I think we're going to be using books to get back. But you get the idea. All we have to do now is leave this running. Because it's drawing power from our heat generators upstairs, we don't have to worry about fueling it. We just let it go. It's got plenty of oil to churn through, plenty of room to store the fuel, and that puts us in a good position where we can just kind of relax. We can start thinking about oxygen, and then we can start thinking about finishing off the actual building of the ship and getting off this rock to another rock made out of dust and cheese, apparently. So that was kind of the chaotic fixing and oversight on my part, forgetting that I added some mods that not everybody would have. But I hope from that you've got at least a general idea of some of the steps that you might want to take. First of all, come up with a system to unload the fuel, the oil from your airship into a storage container, and then set up your refinery, connect it to a pair of tanks, get the refinery up and running, and then just let it go while you work on other things, because it's going to take a while to churn through oil that you produced. So next episode is going to be all about the oxygen, gathering the oxygen, storing the oxygen, supplying ourselves with oxygen, and then we can go from there. If you have any comments and feedback, please don't hesitate to leave them in the appropriate section below the video. If you want to be notified when I add the next video, you can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter at Enigmius1 or Google++ Enigmius1. You get notified that way as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.